Today we're diving into the ultimate beginner's guide to the Instax WIDE Evo. If you just picked up this camera or you're thinking about getting one, you're in the right place. I'm going to walk you through everything from setting it up, taking your first shots, adding creative effects, printing your photos, and even using the app. This hybrid instant camera has some awesome features, and by the end of this video, you'll be ready to capture and print your amazing photos. One last thing, there are timestamps in the description, so if you want to jump to a specific section, you can. Alright, let's get started. Alright, first we're going to do a quick trip around the camera. So let me grab my Instax WIDE Evo. The lens cap is currently on, so I'll take it off. And we're going to start with the front of the camera. Going from your left to right, you've got the shutter lever. So if you half press it, the camera focuses on the subject. If you keep pressing from the half press, the camera will take a photo. Now the shutter doesn't move a lot. I would say it's actually kind of stiff, which I don't necessarily mind. That should mean it will be less likely to accidentally take a photo. Now in the middle of the front, you have the lens. The lens tells you its focal length, aperture, and focus range. The focal length is essentially how wide or narrow your camera's field of view is, or like how much your camera sees. The aperture relates to how wide or close your camera's depth of field is. So this can affect how much light is let into your camera's lens or how much blur your camera has. It can contribute to this thing called bokeh. And finally, the focus range is just the difference at which your camera lens can focus on the subject. Now, the lens says it has a focal length of 16 millimeters, which is true to an extent. So, in order to use the 16 millimeter focal length, you have to be in the wide angle mode. Now, I'm skipping around a little bit, but the wide angle toggle is the toggle right here. So, if you push the toggle up, you should see green. That means you're in the wide angle mode. If you push the toggle down, you should see the word off, and that means you're in the standard angle mode. The standard angle has a focal length of 28 millimeters. When the wide angle is on, you will notice a little icon in the top right hand side of the LCD screen with a mountain icon with a little W to indicate wide. When you turn the wide angle off, the icon disappears. The focus range is 0.1 meters or about 4 inches to infinity, so you can focus pretty close. This should make for some interesting shots if you say shoot wide at about 4 inches away from your subject. The lens is also how you control the intensity of the lens effects. I'll talk more about the lens effects, but just know you can rotate the lens like this to change how strong the lens effects appear on your photos. Now at the top right, you have the flash, which is actually pretty strong. I've seen a few people say they think the flash is a bit too strong, but honestly, I'd almost rather have too much light than not enough. Now below the flash, you have the selfie mirror. So if you're wanting to take a photo of your awesome smiling face, you have a mirror to make sure you're in frame, although with a wide format camera, that shouldn't really be a problem. And like I've already mentioned, but just to repeat it, at the bottom right, you have the wide angle toggle. Alright, let's move to the side of the camera with the on and off switch. So starting at the top, you have the lens effects dial. This allows you to add 10 different lens effects to your photos. Not all at the same time, you can only add one effect per photo, but there are 10 options. So those effects are normal, light leak, light prism, vignette, soft glow, double exposure, color shift, monochrome blur, color gradient, and beam flare. So moving a bit further down here, you have the space for the USB-C port, the micro SD card slot, and the reset button. The USB-C port is only for charging. You can't transfer data through it. I can't find the maximum size of the micro SD cards that the WIDE Evo can take, but it can take at least up to 64 gigabytes. If we keep moving down, you have the on and off switch. So if you push the switch down, you turn the camera on. And then if you push the switch up, you turn it off. And then finally, near the bottom, near the front, you have the reset button for the effects. This resets any of the effects you've added to your photo so that the image goes back to the default settings of the camera. Now, if we go to the other side, the top dial here is the film effects dial. Like with the lens effect dial, this allows you to add one of 10 different film effects to your photos. Those effects are normal, vivid, warm, sky blue, light green, magenta, sepia, monochrome, amber, and summer. And if we keep moving down, you have the print crank here. So this is the default method in which you can print your images. There's an arrow on the crank that tells you need to turn the crank clockwise in order to use it. You can turn it counterclockwise, but it won't print any images. The crank handle is spring-loaded, so that when you let it go, it pops back into its nook. I think this is actually nice because I don't have to worry about forgetting to put the crank handle away and it getting snagged on something and breaking off. If we turn to the back of the camera, near the top, you have the film door lock. I like the fact that the lock is textured because it does make it a bit easier, at least for me, to unlock the door. I will say to make sure you fully close the door and lock the latch. The first time I closed the door back, the lock only went up about halfway. If you don't ensure the lock is fully latched, the back could pop open and mess up your film. So here you go, here's the latch. You open it up and then you close it. Here, I don't know if you can see, it's only halfway closed. You gotta push it all the way in until it clicks. Now below the film door latch is a 3.5-inch color LCD screen. And below the LCD screen is the directional joystick, the play button, the delete button, the function button, the back button, and the menu/OK button. So the directional joystick moves left, right, up, and down. You can't click it. The play button is used to go to your photo gallery. The play button also allows you to switch between the shooting mode, that's the mode you take a photo in, and the playback mode, the mode in which you can see your photos taken. Random tip, if you're in the playback mode, if you fully press the shutter lever, you will go back to the shooting mode. The delete button deletes the image displayed on the LCD screen. Now in shooting mode, the function button will display the current effects setting. You can also save and go through your favorite effect combinations. The back button returns you to the previous screen, and the menu/OK button displays the menu on the LCD screen and selects menu items. It also displays different options like turning the flash on and off, using exposure compensation, etc. Now, at the top of the camera, you have the film/frame style button. This is a button you use to add a film style to your photo. There are 6 different film or frame styles: normal, cinematic, date stamp, collodion process, contact sheet, and film strip. So this button has 2 orange lights that illuminate when you have a film/frame style on, as long as it's not the normal one. You also have the film ejection slot here at the top of the camera. Like the name implies, the film comes out of the slot. Now, on the left and right side of the top of the camera are the camera strap holders. These are how you attach your camera strap to your camera. Finally, let's look at the bottom of the camera. So here you have a door secured by a screw. This is where you have your removable battery. Now, although the battery is removable, you don't take it out to charge it. Like I mentioned earlier, you use the USB-C port to charge your camera. I would assume you could have the battery replaced after it no longer holds a charge, but I'm not 100% sure. And then finally, right here, you have your standard tripod mount. And there you have it. That's a breakdown of the basics of the Instax WIDE Evo. Now let's talk about setting up your camera. Before getting started setting up your camera, make sure your camera is fully charged. The way to do this is to plug in a USB-C cable into the camera and then use a wall charging brick to charge it. Your camera should have some charge straight out of the box, but you'll want to make sure it's fully charged before you start playing around. Now, when you plug in the camera to the charge, the AF illuminator red light will turn on. That is the light right here by the shutter lever. Once it's fully charged, that light will go out. When the camera is on, you will see a little battery icon with a lightning bolt in the middle of it in the bottom right hand corner of the LCD to indicate that the camera is charging. When the camera is not charging, that battery icon will have bars in the middle to represent the level of charge. Alright, let's talk setting up your camera. So the first time you turn on your camera, you will see the option to select the language. I speak English, so that's what I'll select. Next, you should get the option to set the date and time. Then you should be ready to shoot if you just want to start taking photos. However, remember, your camera can only internally hold 45 images. If you want to expand the amount of photos your camera can hold, you need a micro SD card. You also can't take advantage of the camera's ability to shoot 16 megapixel photos without a micro SD card. I highly recommend using a micro SD card with this camera. If you get a decent sized one, you will probably never have to get a new one for this camera. Now that your camera's set up, you can start taking photos. Like I mentioned, if you halfway press down the shutter, your camera will focus on a subject. If a human face is in the photo and you have face detection on, your camera should auto detect that face. I'll show you how to make sure it's on in a little bit. After your camera focuses, if you keep pressing down on the shutter lever, a photo will be taken. That photo will appear on the LCD screen on the back of your camera. As a reminder, if you want to alternate between shooting wide, that's 16mm, and shooting standard, that's 28mm, then you simply need to toggle the wide angle switch on or to green and off. If you want to be able to print the photos you take, then you'll need to add some film to your camera. It's kind of a given, but just in case someone doesn't know, this camera takes Instax wide film. So it comes in the largest box of the Instax film types. So this is the wide compared to the square compared to the mini. Okay, so first you're going to open the box. So this is a double pack, so you can open it this way and you'll see some silver packaging. So you'll open the silver package. There's a little tear spot here and you'll see a black film cartridge. So now that you've got your cartridge, you want to open the back of your camera. So again, you push down on the door latch and you can see into the back. So when adding your film, you want to make sure that the yellow sticker here lines up with the yellow sticker in the back. So you will put it in, make sure it's in, and then close the door and make sure it closes all the way. And I don't know if you can hear, but you should notice that the black cover of the film cartridge is being ejected out of the film ejection slot. The film cover should eject automatically, even if the camera is not on. So at this point, you should now have 10 film sheets available for printing. If you want to verify that you do in fact have 10 sheets, you simply turn on the camera and then look at the bottom left-hand side. You should see a film icon with 10/10 beside it, meaning you have 10 out of 10 film sheets left to use. In order to print the photo using the print crank, you first have to hit the play button to go to your photo. Then you have to open up the print crank handle and start turning. And when you start turning, you should see a like a gauge fill that will let you know when to stop cranking. So I'm gonna try to get close so you guys can see. And then your film should start ejecting and coming out of the film ejection slot. So it takes about 16 seconds for the photo to finish printing. And there you have it. Congratulations, you've just printed your first image with the Instax WIDE Evo. So once the film is fully ejected, I do recommend that you store it in kind of a dark space. So like placing it face down on a surface or putting it in a pouch or pocket. It takes about 90 seconds for the photo to develop, but I'd let it sit for about 5 or 10 minutes to finish fully developing. With it being winter, depending on where you live and how cold it gets, I recommend keeping your film in a warm spot, like close to your body, while it develops if you're outdoors. The Instax film is more resistant to weather than say Polaroid film, but depending again on how cold it is, the colors could have a bit of a blue tint if it's too cold while it's developing. During the summer months, again, depending on where you live and how hot it gets, I would recommend keeping your film in a cool location so that it doesn't develop with too much of a yellow or orangish tint due to the heat. Once you've used up all of the film sheets, you should see 0/10 next to the photo icon near the bottom left-hand side of the screen. Now, in order to take the film cartridge out, you simply unlock the film door lock once again and remove the cartridge. Fun fact, you can store your photos in the film cartridge, so it's like you have a tiny frame and storage box for your photos. Alright, so you know how to take and print photos. Let's add some effects to those photos. So in shooting mode, you will see what your camera sees. If you want to add a film effect, simply turn the film dial on the right hand side of the camera. That's the side with the print crank. You should see changes to your photos based on the film effect that you select. If you want to add a lens effect, turn the lens dial, which is on the left-hand side of the camera, the side with the on and off switch. Again, you should see the changes to your photo based on the lens effects that you select. If you want to adjust the intensity of the lens effects that you chose, after you select it, rotate the lens to see the different intensities. If you want to add a film or frame style, you simply press the button on the top of the camera while in the shooting mode. Each time you press a button, it will cycle through one of the different styles. As a reminder, if you're unhappy with the effects you've chosen and you just want to delete them all, you simply have to press the effects reset button and your photo will reset back to its default settings. Okay, let's talk about adjusting the non-filter camera settings. So while in shooting mode, press the menu/OK button. This will display the different camera settings you can change. Going from top to bottom of the options, you have exposure, self-timer, flash, white balance, macro, and settings. We'll start with the exposure option and work our way down. You use the directional joystick to scroll through the options. The exposure option lets you change the brightness of your image. The range is -2 to +2 in 1/3 increments. Use the directional joystick to go down to the next option. So the next option is self-timer. The default for that is no self-timer. Your other options are 2 seconds and 10 seconds. Once you select the self-timer option you want, go back to shooting mode and set up your shot. Once you're happy with your shot, press the shutter lever. You'll hear a beep and the red light near the shutter lever will start blinking. Next up, we have the flash option. The default option is the flash is in auto mode, which means the camera will select when to use or not use the flash. You can also select the option to just have the flash on or off, regardless of the lighting you're shooting in. Now, let's move on to the white balance option. The default mode is auto. This means your camera will decide which white balance to shoot in. Your white balance options are auto, fine, shade, fluorescent 1, which is like daylight fluorescent, fluorescent 2, which is like daylight white fluorescent, fluorescent light 3, which is a white fluorescent, and then incandescent light, which is like light bulbs and incandescent lamps. Another option you have is whether or not you're shooting in macro mode. If you remember, this camera has a focusing range of 0.1 meters or about 4 inches to infinity. Switch your setting to macro mode if you plan on shooting close up to your subject. The last option you have is the settings option. When you click OK, it takes you to another menu full of new options. So those options are face detection, AF illuminator, print quality mode, print brightness, information, date/time, language, sound setup, auto picture transfer, auto power off, film style LED, reset, format, and firmware update. Just like with the camera setting options, I'll go through each of the settings one by one. Face detection allows you to turn the face detection feature on and off. Face detection allows the camera to detect a face and adjust the focus and brightness to see the face clearly instead of the background. The AF illuminator option allows you to turn the AF illuminator on and off. When on, the AF illuminator lights up from the time the shutter lever is pressed halfway until the subject is in focus. The print quality mode feature allows you to select whether your photo will print in Instax natural mode or Instax rich mode. Now, I personally prefer the rich mode as I like my photos to have rich colors. The print brightness is another option to brighten the overall look of your photo. You can choose from ×1, which is standard, ×1.5, which is brighter, and then ×2.0, which is the brightest. The information option tells you the name of your camera. You will need your camera name for the Instax WIDE Evo app. The date/time option lets you change how your date is displayed. For example, Americans normally use the method of month, date, and then year. I know a lot of Europeans use the format method of date, month, and then year. Once you select the format you want, then you can change to the proper date and select the time. Unfortunately, you can't select between 12-hour format and 24-hour format. However, you can select whether the time is AM or PM. The next option is language. You can select from Dutch, English, French, Italian, Portuguese, Japanese, simplified Chinese, traditional Chinese, and Korean. There is a sound setup option. It lets you choose to turn the sound off or on or change the volume for the operation sound, the shutter volume, and the startup sound. The auto image transfer option allows you to turn the automatic transfer of printed photos to the Instax WIDE Evo app on and off. The auto power off option lets you either turn the auto power feature off or set it to either 2 or 5 minutes. I usually leave this option on so that way I don't drain my battery when I inevitably forget to turn off my camera. The next option you have is the film style LED. This allows you to turn that light off and on. Remember when I said when you select a film style, 2 orange lights show up on the film style button? This option lets you turn those lights off. Now we're coming up to the last few options. The reset option lets you reset the camera to its default settings. The format setting allows you to format or erase the memory of either your micro SD card or your internal memory. Now, if you don't have a micro SD card in, then the card option will be grayed out. The last setting option is the firmware upgrade option. This tells you what version of firmware you currently have. I'm assuming that when there is a firmware update, there will be some type of notification with instructions on how to update your camera's firmware. All right, another screen I want to share with you guys is from the playback mode. So if you're in playback mode, you hit menu and then you have more options. So you have image rotate, zoom, print quality mode, print brightness, print, and then the settings. So let's go through all of them. So image rotate is pretty straightforward. You just click OK, and then you can rotate the image. Zoom, you can zoom closer, zoom out. Also, while you are in playback mode, if you want to just zoom in, you can just start pressing up and it'll automatically zoom in. All right, one more thing about zoom. You can zoom in and out with this camera, but you have to be in the standard angle mode. So right now I'm in standard angle. If I push the directional joystick up, I zoom in. If I push it down, I zoom out. But if I go to the wide angle mode, then I can no longer zoom in and out. So you can zoom in and out, but you have to be in the standard angle mode. Print quality mode, so you can change if you want it in natural or rich. Print brightness, again, you can just change the brightness of the image. So print, if you want to print without having to use the print crank handle, then you can print this way. And then these settings, so these settings are a little bit different than the main settings. So these are the playback settings. So transfer image, so if I wanted to transfer the image to the app, I could do that. And these are the images that I have printed so far. And so the only images that will show up will be the images that you've already printed. So I am going to transfer this photo here. So I'm going to click on OK. And then here it says you need to use the function key or the function button to transfer. So we're going to press the function button. And you can see it is transferring the image. You can also see it's transferring to the app as well. All right, so it says the transfer is complete, and boom, yep, it is in my app. So that's how you can transfer images from your Instax WIDE Evo to your Instax WIDE Evo app. Copy, if I want to copy an image from the internal memory of the camera to my SD card, or if I want to go from my SD card to internal memory. If I want to delete all the images, I could click this. Information, again, just tells you the name of the camera. Go to date and time, language, sound setup, auto picture transfer, auto power off, film style LED, reset, format, firmware upgrade. Okay, so I think I've shown you pretty much everything you need to know about just using the camera. Now, there is also a smartphone app that allows you to get even more use out of your camera. So in order to get this app, you can either search the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store on your phone for the WIDE Evo app. Or you can scan one of the QR codes on the WIDE Evo box. When you first download the app, you may get a pop-up that asks if you want to allow notifications from the app. Next, a Terms of Use window pops up. Once you accept those terms, it asks you what region you're in. It then allows you to select whether you want to allow the app to collect information on how you use the app and the photos you take. Once you hit next, it takes you to the WIDE Evo privacy notice for you to agree or disagree to. You will receive a notice that this app will require a Bluetooth connection to connect to the camera. I clicked allow to let my WIDE Evo find my Bluetooth devices. Finally, a screen pops up which allows you to connect your camera to the app. Now it may take a minute for the app to find your camera. Of course, make sure your camera is on so that it can be found. Once your camera is found, click on the connect button. You can verify your camera by comparing the first two digits and the last two digits listed on the app with the camera info in the information section of the camera setting. Once the camera connects, another box will pop up requesting you enter your 8-digit serial number. To find your serial number, click on the menu/OK button of your camera. Go to the settings, then go back to the information option. The last 8 digits of your camera's name is your 8-digit serial number. Once you put in your serial number, click Connect. The screen should cut back to the Camera Connect screen. The button next to your camera name should now say Disconnect. This means your camera is currently connected to the WIDE Evo app. Once you see your camera is connected, you can close the window. After you close the window, you'll see some info about some of the features of the app that you can swipe through. So in the bottom left-hand corner of the home screen, you'll see the photo icon with the number of shots left and your battery percentage with an actual number amount. If you swipe left on the WIDE Evo camera in the middle of the home screen, you will move to the Discover feed. So the Discover feed allows you to see images others have taken with their WIDE Evo camera. It also tells you which filters are on that photo and the date. If you click on an image, you can see a clearer version of the photo and info about that photo, like the effects, exposure, white balance, and film style. You can also see any hashtags used with the photo. If you click on the View This Post on Instagram button, it will take you to the Instagram account where the photo was posted. If you go back and then you click on the 3 dots in the top right hand corner, it allows you to report any inappropriate content. If you find a setting you really like, you can add that lens and film effect setting to your favorites. Simply click on the camera icon with the green circle arrow, or go back to the main Discover feed and click on a photo that has that same green circle arrow. A window will pop up asking if you want to add this lens and film effects combo to your favorites. You simply click the Register button and then go to an open favorite slot and click Register again. Then you simply name what you want this favorite to be called and then click Register. After you put in the name, it's registering, and boom, now you have this favorites registered. If you click on the hamburger icon in the top right and then go to the favorite registration list, it will list the favorites you currently have registered. Now you can also overwrite some of the favorites you already have. So if you find something else you like, click on the green circle arrow icon again, add it to your favorites, and then you can go to a slot that's already filled and click overwrite. Now the naming box pops up again. You can change the name of this favorites if you want to. And then once you change the name, you simply click overwrite and it will overwrite to a new favorite setting. If you go back to the home screen and swipe right where the camera is, it takes you to the print history page. From there, select the photo you want to save. An Instax kind of ad will pop up. You can simply close that out. Now in the bottom right hand side of the screen, you can click on the share icon and it will take you to edit the background of your photo. So you can either select the color. My favorite's purple, so that's probably what I select. You can also create a custom color through the grid. You can pick a color there. You can go to the spectrum, or you can even use a slider. You can also change the number directly, or you can change the opacity. You can even change the hex code number if you know it. And then you can also add a color to like your standard colors. So say I want to add this purple, I simply click a little plus icon and now it's added as like one of my favorite colors. So boom, there it is. The background is now purple. Now I can also change the background to a background image. So I can either change it to the image of the photo that I've taken, or I can change it to an image from my camera roll. You can also edit the background image. So I can zoom in, zoom out, I can rotate the image, I can add a filter to the image. I can also change the contrast, the brightness, the saturation, and the blur of the background image. So I'm just going to stick with the color for now. I can also add text to the background if I want to. You can change it from black to white, but I'm just going to stick with no text on the background. Now I can download this image and just save it to my camera roll. We're going to keep going and we're going to share this to Instagram. So when you click on the share icon, it basically, this message pops up telling you that, hey, if you use the Instax WIDE Evo hashtag, that means we can like take your photo and put it in the Instax WIDE Evo app Discover feed. Basically this app is just open to the public, but you don't have to agree to give them permission to place your photo in the Discover feed if you don't want to. You can click disagree and still continue to move forward with posting your photo to Instagram. They also do say that just because you post and give them permission, that doesn't mean they're going to use your photo. So I'm going to click on disagree, and it takes you to the ability to edit your caption. And so with this, you can have 4 kind of basic hashtags. So hashtag Instax WIDE Evo, Instax WIDE Evo Discover, and then lens and film effects. So I just had normal for both the lens and the film effects, so that's why it says normal. But if I pick something like beam or light flare, then that would change. I'm also going to just add some text to the caption. You kind of add whatever you want. It tells you the number of characters you have left, and then you click on copy and proceed to post. I have to click it twice before it'll actually copy, and then it pops up your sharing option. So I have an iPhone. This is how I can share. I'll have to modify this so I can add Instagram to like one of my main settings, but for now I just click on the three dots that says more, scroll down to Instagram, click on Instagram, and now I can post as either a post, a story, or a message. It also tells you which Instagram account you're going to post on. So I'm going to post this as a regular post. So boom, there it is. Now I can paste my caption into the box. So I'm going to paste it in there. And I can still modify the caption if I want to, but this is the caption. And then you simply click OK, and it will post to your Instagram. Now, I didn't want to post this photo because I didn't really put any thought into the caption, but I will show you guys an example of a photo I posted using this method. So this is a photo I posted late last night when I was trying this out. But yeah, this is directly from the Instax WIDE Evo app. So you can post from that app to your Instagram. If you click the hamburger icon, aka the three lines, in the top right hand side of the app, you will get a list of options. The notification list shows any notifications you have in the app. The favorite registration list shows your favorite settings. The image quality mode lets you select between the Instax Natural mode and the Instax Rich mode. I like the option here that lets you see the visual differences between the natural and rich mode. The region settings mode lets you choose which region you're in. So if you say move from the US to Europe, you can change which region you're in. The how to use and FAQ options take you to a website that has links to the user manual, FAQs, and a couple other things. I couldn't find out what OSS stands for. It's not in the manual. However, I think it stands for open source software. This appears to basically be a notice that you can obtain a copy of the software and associated documentation for this app. The terms of use option just lets you review the terms of use for the app. The privacy setting allows you to change whether or not you agree and allow log collection. The Discover setting option allows you to agree or disagree about allowing Instax to share your photos to the Discover feed if you use the hashtag #InstaxWideEvo. The data backup option allows you to back up data from an old device or do a data restoration from a new device. The last option, Firmware Update, shows a pop-up that tells you which version of firmware you currently have. I'm assuming when there's a firmware update, the pop-up will let you know. If you click the question mark icon in the top right-hand corner of the app with the settings page, it takes you back to the info slides that mention some of the features of the app. If you click the direct print button at the bottom of the home screen, it will pull up your gallery. You can decide whether you want to allow the app access to all of your photos or only some of them. If you click on the remote shooting button, you can see a live view of what your camera sees. The screen also shows what lens and film effect you may have on your photo, the exposure you're using, and then the white balance you're using as well. The app won't show whether or not you're using a film or frame style. When you're in remote shooting mode, the LCD screen turns black and lets you know that you're using the WIDE Evo app. You can also change whether or not the flash is an auto, on, or off, and whether the self timer is on at 2 seconds, at 10 seconds, or off. You can also turn off the live view, but then you wouldn't need to be in remote shooting mode. If you click the camera in the center of the home screen, you can see the usage history of the film and lens effects. You can also see when your camera was first connected to the app. It also tells you how many shots you've taken with the camera and how many photos you've printed. I think these could give you some really cool metrics at the end of the year. Whew, I think that's it. If you stuck with me this far, you're the real MVP. I think I've shared everything you need to get started with the Instax WIDE Evo camera. I think this is a great hybrid camera with some really cool features. If I've missed something or didn't show you how to do something with the camera that you think I should have, let me know. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this beginner's guide to the Instax WIDE Evo useful. If you want to know who this camera is for, I will put a link to the video in my end card. If you want more photography content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to receive notifications of when I post new videos. I try to upload at least one video a week. Stay tuned for more fun photography content, and if there are any topics you want to see, let me know in the comments below. Until next time, keep practicing, keep having fun, and I'll see you in the next video.